thank you for coming. We're going to start with the introductions. I'm Alex, the school psychologist.
I'm Ronnie, the special education teacher.
I'm Danielle, Sammy's mom.
I'm Kayla, the principal.
I'm Caroline, the general education teacher.
Okay, we are just going to go over the forms. Danielle, just to make sure everything is clear and you have no questions. We're going to go over all the data. I just wanted to remind everyone that the areas of concern and why we're here are basic reading skills, writing expression, and behavior interactions, which include aggression towards himself and others.
From the report cards and the data collected throughout the year from the basic reading inventory, it has been shown that since kindergarten, Sammy has scored significantly below his peers. Because of his difficulty in reading, it has affected his performance in other subjects. From what I understand, you said that Sammy does not enjoy reading at home.
Correct. We try and read with him as much as we can, whether it's free time or before bed, but he really just doesn't seem to want to do it ever, especially on his own.
Okay. But he is able to demonstrate that verbally he understands what he has read, but unable to in a written format. And regarding behavior, it has been noted that Sammy's report card since kindergarten that he has had a hard time behaving. Throughout the day, Sammy is expected to interact appropriately with his peers and follow directions, just like everyone else in the class. I know that you also mentioned he has some behavioral issues at home and in childcare.
Yes, he does. I have heard that in childcare he does have aggressive behavior, and then at home I've seen it with his sister. He can be aggressive too.
Okay, because that might be why he brings it over to the classroom. Academically, I've noticed that Sammy enjoys reading when I read aloud and listening to audiobooks. He is able to answer questions about subjects that I read to him, and he can also share his knowledge of the topic verbally. Behaviorally, I notice that he does enjoy receiving attention from me and his peers. He will follow directions if he is part of an activity that he does enjoy, and he acts appropriately towards his peers during a game in which he chooses. And each year, Sammy has received instruction in core reading and language. The core reading instruction has focused on the Iowa core essential concepts and skills. Along with this, Sammy has received supplemental instruction in reading and writing that is provided by classroom teachers and a district specialist each year, beginning in first grade. Sammy has great attendance and participates regularly in this. Sammy received similar instruction as peers regarding behavior. As part of our school-wide positive behavioral intervention, we use the Character Counts curriculum. Our school also supports framework implemented throughout the district. The rules regarding behavior are posted in the classroom and throughout the school, and they are taught to the students in the beginning of the year, reviewed periodically, and acknowledged. Their positive behaviors are acknowledged daily.
These things are not a factor for this plan. Sammy is a native English speaker. Sammy has been attending the same school. He receives core and supplemental instruction in the classroom, so a lack of appropriate instruction has been ruled out.
Through error analysis, teacher interviews, and review of classroom work, it has indicated that Sammy's reading difficulty has required supplemental instruction, and this has been provided for 12 weeks with daily 20-minute sessions targeting reading instruction, opportunities for modeling, practice, and feedback. For writing, the problem lies within mechanics and expression of ideas. Even though intervention has not been provided, Caroline has spent extra time to help him.
The peer performance was the performance standard established for the intervention. Based on local district norms, typical second graders read at 60 words per minute at the time that the intervention began. And then the written expression was also peer assessed, the peer performance standard was used. And a sample of 5 classroom writing samples were taken and showed a median of 75% correctness when they were given a story starter with 1 minute to think about it and 3 minutes to write about it.
Regarding reading, Sammy reads at 15 words per minute in a 1-minute time sample. He usually reads with 93% accuracy. His reading is slow, but he's able to identify most words. And for writing, prior to full individual initial evaluation, Sammy wrote with an accuracy of 42%, and the errors included spelling, punctuation, and capitalization. In addition to this, he did not write with many details.
Following supplemental instruction, After 12 weeks, Sammy read 25 words per minute with one error, while other peers were reading at 78 words per minute. For writing, he now writes at 44% accuracy, while his peers are at 75%. Some of his struggles still include many mechanical errors and details in his writing.
Based on the peer rate of progress, Sammy's expected gain was 1.5 words per minute. Sammy gained 10 words over a 12-week period. His rate of growth was 0.9 words per minute, which represented a difference of 0.6 fewer words. And then during the past 6 weeks, Sammy was able to write with a 0.2% increase in accuracy, ending with a 44% accuracy in his writing. This approximately was a 0.33% accuracy increase per week. This rate exceeds the rate of progress of peers who maintained the 75% accuracy during the same test period. However, the rate of growth for 0.33% would take substantial amount of supplemental instruction, which would be 94 weeks, and a lot of additional resources to close the same gap that of performance for his peers.
For supplemental instruction, he was in a group with 3 other students, and his progress was a lot lower than the other members. But he did benefit from repeated modeling, practice, and feedback, and he was also highly motivated to measure his own success. For written, even though there was no supplemental intervention, he benefited from direct and explicit instruction in forming complete sentences with accurate capitalization, punctuation, and spelling.
Regarding reading, Sammy's rate of progress given small group instruction on skills related to decoding, fluency, and multiple opportunities for practice using a controlled curriculum did not result in the expected rate of progress and was not sufficient to demonstrate that he is narrowing the gap between his performance and peer performance. At this rate, the gap between Sammy's skills and the skills of his peers will gradually increase over time. In addition to this, Sammy's slow reading will require him to spend more time reading and will likely impact his comprehension on the material. Overall, the data suggests that when Sammy receives intensified opportunities to learn, he continues to make insufficient progress. In order for Sammy to make the progress that he did, he requires one-on-one and small group instruction using materials which were explicit and provided many opportunities to respond and receive feedback. Use of this materials, however, requires a specialized teacher. For writing, although Sammy's progress in written expression is higher than his peers, his progress is slow and would take him much more time to close the gap compared to his peers' performance, approximately 94 weeks. He continues to need support to close this gap. And as by the form I showed you earlier, for the basic reading skills, the convergence data indicates that Sammy's performance is significantly below his peers and of the same grade level. He struggles to decode new words and lacks the knowledge to decode most basic CBC words with fluency. However, based on teacher interview and review of the classroom work, it was determined that Sammy is able to comprehend what he reads and what is read to him. Sammy writes significantly less than his peers. He does perform within the average range in writing accuracy. He still has difficulty with production, though. Additionally, based on performance measured on the writing rubric, he struggles with different factors of written expression as well. Teacher and student interview data indicates that Sammy also has a difficulty coming up with ideas for his writing and organizing his thoughts prior to writing. Do you have any questions so far?
So how does his performance compare to other students?
I think Ronnie could answer that.
Well, according to the ITBS test, 86% of second graders score at or above the 41st percentile, while Sammy is in the 13th. For the Dibbles, he is below other students in his intervention group who are now meet expectations. In writing, the ITBS test states that he is in the 11th percentile, while 89% of his classmates scored 41% or higher.
Right, so now we'll move on to Sammy's behavior. And as Carolyn said before, and as you probably know, our school goes by the character counts. And we also had school-wide expectations in areas demonstrating respectful, responsible, and safe behaviors in all school settings.
So For the FBA, information was gathered through interviews, record reviews, and observation. It was hypothesized that the function of Sammy's behavior was, we're going to have to cut that out. FBA information was gathered through interviews, record reviews, and observation. It was hypothesized that the function of Sammy's lack of following directions and aggressive behavior was to avoid less preferred tasks. Do you ever see that at home?
Yes, I can see that, because a lot of times when he becomes aggressive, it might be to distract or to get out of doing things.
Okay. So based on that information, a behavior plan that matched the function of Sammy's behavior was needed, and it was developed and implemented for 6 weeks. Sammy received individual instruction on replacement behaviors for his aggression. The instruction targeted times when Sammy was faced with situations where he was required to comply with non-preferred tasks requested by teachers or other peers. In order to address these aggressive behaviors, Sammy was taught a walk-away strategy, which served the same function of escaping the tasks, but made sure that his aggression didn't get in the way so he didn't harm himself or others. So that's something you might be able to start implementing at home at first, is just having him walk away when you think he's going to get aggressive. And the individual instructions that Sammy learned, other methods of communication with peers, such as negotiating or deal making, and moving to an alternative activity rather than simply walking away from a situation, was something he also learned. He was placed on a reinforcement system, which was, he got computer time, which was a personal choice. For each day he was able to display a non-aggressive activity. When Sammy was aggressive, he was required to work with a guidance counselor to review the incident and decide how to handle it better, and then decide an appropriate consequence. A behavior intervention plan was also developed for completion of work, which served the same function for his aggression. And Sammy's success was accomplished by ensuring the work was given to him at his instructional level, so making sure he could complete it. And then he was also taught several replacement behaviors for the work, such as changing the order of which it could be completed by, or asking for a small homework break after he completed a task. And providing him with guided assistance for 1 or 2 items. Sammy was taught these intervention components through modeling, individual and small group instruction for a total of 25 minutes per day. Reinforcement was provided through social reinforcements, like verbal praise, thumbs up, and also through tangible items such as a sticker chart and the positive notes home you've been receiving. Additionally, Sammy was taught that the tasks would not be removed when he refused or was aggressive, and his daily schedule would freeze until the work was attempted, and as you know, you occasionally had to stay after school for him to complete his in-class assignments. And to finish any work not completed, was obviously not acceptable. These interventions were monitored by me using direct observation as performance data gathered by the classroom teacher, Caroline, and a review of the daily communication sheet, and a log sheet of his aggressive events, and then an interview with the guidance counselor. The components of the intervention were implemented at a 75% median, and this is lower than the 80% criteria defined as defined for implementation. The components of pre-teaching and positive notes home were 2 components that were a lower implementation, and a review of the data indicates that the lower implementation of it did not have a significant impact on the effectiveness of the intervention. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. Prior to the intervention, Sammy had a median of 7 aggressive acts per week. His aggressive acts included pushing, hurting when he did not get his way or was required to complete a non-preferred activity. Typical physical horseplay at recess, physical education, and refusing an activity were not counted as aggressive acts. Sammy sat so if Sammy sat there and refused to do his work, that was not counted as an aggressive act. But if he sat there and pushed his pencil box off of his desk or threw papers everywhere, that was counted as an aggressive act. Removing him from the setting was often needed prior to the intervention when Sammy did have the 35% completion of work assigned. which that 35% completion of work only included his classwork and no homework assignments. Additionally, in order to complete his in-time classwork, Sammy often needed frequent redirection and assistance in class by a teacher.
So we implemented a 6-week intervention, and his goal was to reduce aggressive acts by 1 per week, and have 2 or fewer aggressive acts per week when done, when doing classwork or interacting with peers. Our school tolerance policy is 0, but we figured this way would be better and an easier way to handle the situation.
Sammy has decreased his number of aggressive acts from 7 a week to 1 a week, which is obviously is only 1 aggressive act per week, which is absolutely great. We're thrilled with that. This was consistent with his goal and meets the expected rate of progress. Sammy's work completion has jumped from 35% to 80% in class, which is also phenomenal. And that is a growth. His work completion has a growth rate of 7.5% per week. And this showed significant growth that Sammy has with this intervention.
The intervention, he's also included in a supplemental small group, and this group was with 4 other students, and all have made great progress. Even though it has been discontinued, the students continue to receive reinforcement for appropriate behavior.
Teaching Sammy alternatives to aggression, giving him the choice of work completion, and providing him with consistent and positive reinforcements for making good choices have provided with the most success that we've had. A strength that was identified earlier in the intervention was Sammy's desire to please peers and please people. And he also seemed to be motivated by tangible items such as stickers and notes. A review of the intervention data and followed-up observations of Sammy indicated that he has made good progress during the intervention phase. He has made expected progress based on the instruction provided by the goals set for his behavior intervention plan. Data suggests that some components may not have been implemented at the predetermined integrity level. However, that result has been still positive. His social behaviors and the rate of progress are not significantly different than peers now. His intervention and the supports have been provided with him with the general education resources facilitated by the classroom teacher, by Caroline, and the guidance counselor. The data suggests that Sammy will be able to maintain his behavior and most likely continue to improve and give supports with the supports that are in place. Sammy's performance in the areas of non-completion of work and aggression when not getting his way are significant, were high prior to the intervention. Although he continues to demonstrate aggressive behaviors, more frequent than similar age peers, his ending performance levels at the intervention are not significantly different than peers. Sammy is now better to comply with directions given by adults and maintain appropriate social interactions when confronted with situations with peers. Sammy's behavior was significantly different to his peers at the beginning of the intervention and continues to have some discrepancy, but however he has made significant improvements. The interviews suggest that Sammy's performance is not unique compared to other students receiving similar intervention components. In addition, interviewees predict that Sammy will continue to make more progress with the given supports in place.
Sammy's instruction in both reading and written expression needs to be provided in an explicit manner. This should follow a model lead test or I do, we do, you do format with many opportunities for guided practice and feedback. He also needs additional practice with skills that are introduced in class instruction and needs to be repeated throughout the day. Distributed practice with skills throughout the day and in different contexts has also been shown to benefit Sammy. In addition to the core instruction, this focused instruction should occur no less than 30 minutes a day in order to accelerate his rate of progress. As stated earlier, Sammy's benefits from direct instruction, including modeling, reinforcement, both positive and negative, assistance when beginning a task, asking for help when needed, and frequent feedback. Providing Sammy with choices with respect to work completion and pre-teaching skills to use when solving disagreements rather than aggression improves behavior. So what we decided that we were thinking about working on with Sammy is to, for basic reading, is increase accuracy with word recognition, identifying vowel sounds in words, decoding blends of words, and increasing fluency and accuracy in reading. For written expression, we were going to focus on developing ideas for writing, planning and organizing the writing, and applying appropriate writing mechanics. For behavior, we decided that Sammy needs to continue to learn skills regarding following directions, task completions, and appropriate social skills. Additionally, he needs continued support in learning core expectation for behavior. An alternative curriculum is not needed to teach Sammy the skills necessary to complete work and solve disagreements with peers. The curriculum used in the guidance program was taught in a small group setting. He was benefited from practicing the skills with an adult and his peers. Continued involvement in the core curriculum will benefit Sammy. Sammy's benefits from a small group setting in which he can have additional opportunities to respond and consistent feedback and error correction. Additionally, he benefits from an environment where instruction is motivating and reinforcing. Like many students, Sammy benefits from having posted expectation, pre-corrections, and a high ratio of positive feedback when he is meeting those behavioral expectations. He, like his peers, have benefited from having the expectations taught and acknowledged in all school settings with the character counts emphasis. He has benefited from identifying aggression triggers with the guidance counselor in a private session and engaging in problem-solving alternative ways to handle them in the future. School staff need to identify a location where Sammy can go when his schedule freezes. In that location, Sammy will work on the task and social reinforcers will be lessened. In addition, staff will need to be identified to supervise this time when it occurs.
So in order for Sammy to reach his fullest potential, it would be beneficial for him to have additional learning supports such as you and other family members to help him out with stuff that both Carolyn and Alex have talked about. And we could also show you some of the practices that we use at school to help him.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and if you have any questions, you have all of our email addresses and our school extensions, so you can also leave a message there.
All right, thank you.
Okay.